dear. It's showtime. Here we are. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Happy Onesie Wednesday. For anyone watching this back, whether it's Wednesday or not, I got my Totoro onesie on. I need to do that. Hey, I'm My Neighbour Totoro tonight. It's actually this is a very fleecy onesie. It's very warm and it's not necessarily the best idea I've ever had to wear. It's not that cold tonight. This is particularly good when it's very cold, this onesie. It's not that cold tonight. Mid-autumn that we are in now. But it was Wednesday and I was putting the bins out, posing for a picture for the Facebook group bin isolation outing. You know, you got to do what you got to do, basically, is what I'm saying. So that's the world we're in. We got to do what we got to do. So I decided it was an absolute necessity to wear a onesie this evening because it's just how it goes, essentially. So how you doing anyway? There's no one in the chat yet, which is slightly unusual. So it's I think maybe it's private time. I can't post comments to some destinations. Learn more. YouTube post, Twitch post, Facebook pages. I should have done it at my page again. I could have. It says I can read comments. Don't necessarily want to be able to post comments to Facebook. I do want to be able to read them, though. So I don't know if there's anyone watching via Facebook at the moment who would like to do me an enormous favor by making a comment so I can discover whether or not I can actually see Facebook comments. Facebook seems to be playing up a little bit with StreamYard, which is the streaming application I use to go live. So I can go live on multiple things. Oh, okay, Daniel, thank you for that. I can see Facebook comments. That makes me happy. Timia, hello, how are you? Daniel, one of my older Facebook friends. Timia, one of my newer Facebook friends through the, well, actually, both through YouTube. Daniel, somewhat old school YouTuber. Timia, someone I've just found through the Facebook group we have for YouTubers. YouTube's good like that, meeting new and different and varied people, and helps us stay in touch in these strange times we're in. Just looking at webcam seems to be on a really screwy angle. Wait, what? No, that makes it worse. I don't even know if that's a thing. Yeah, no, Megaleech, we're both old school. It's the most polite way to put it. As way things go. So among other things this evening, just with our normal chat, finding out what's happening and what's going down, finding out what, Daniel and Timia, what you're up to, how your day's been, how my day's been. I want to punch Microsoft at the moment. Thanks for asking. I was going to do an experiment, something I've been meaning to try for a while, a slightly weird and involved way of making a cocktail. Kind of like I was speculating today, it's like the cocktail maker's equivalent of making sourdough while you're in isolation, doing something that some people would argue is unnecessarily complicated and takes an extended period of time. Chris, hello, good evening. I'm fine. How are you? So I'm going to make or have my first attempt at making what's known as a milk punch or a milk clarified cocktail, because it's an amazing little lesson in chemistry when you introduce milk to alcohol and acidic content. The milk curdles, which sounds bad, but there is this weird magical thing it does where you can use to filter the drink. Abby, how are you? Ironing? Nice. Such an exciting time. Well, I'll try and just keep you company while you iron. I never iron my shirts if I'm going to a job interview. Once I've got a job, fuck them. You get my shirts. I mean, if they're really wrinkly, I'll iron them, but I try to wash and hang them so they're not too bad. But, fuck them, honestly. But yes, so I think because I want to do this for a video, and I've never tried to do it, so it really wouldn't hurt to do a test run for this is a complicated process before doing thing. Oh, you're still having the name change conversation with work. Well, yeah, I like to be supportive of my friends, and I did see your post changing your name, so I'm bang up for that. See, doing milk clarification or making a milk punch does an amazing thing visually. Like when your base drink is really dark, the milk clarification filters a lot of the color out. It doesn't make the drink complete, or in some cases it does make the drink completely clear. It doesn't necessarily make the drink completely clear, but filters an amazing amount of the color out of it. And then apparently also kind of smooth the drink. It's weird. The technique actually dates back probably to at least the 1600s. The earliest documented recipe for a milk punch is from the early 1700s. So if someone was documenting a recipe then, it was probably a thing that people made quite a while before that. And it's basically, you make your drink, and there are a million variations you can do of this. And then you mix it with milk, the milk curdles, and then the milk curds can be an additional filter for the drink. So yeah, you're like filtering out the curds because you don't want them in your drink, but they also act as an additional filter for your drink. And amazingly, like I said, they strip the color right out of it. So I want to experiment. And I was going through the Bible, and I want something that's a very strong color and a strong flavor to really test that out. My short list is a paper plane, which has bourbon, Aperol. I have Aperol. I might substitute my Aperol's an Italian bitter aperitif. It's red. I've got a French one. I think I keep calling it Italian, and it's actually French. And also an Amaro, which is a dark, bitter Italian digestif. So that's very strong colors and very strong bitter flavors. And I think doing a milk punch of that would have a very interesting effect. The other one I was considering is a variation on a Negroni called a Boulevardier. That has bourbon and vermouth and Campari. I don't have or like Campari. I would definitely swap that out for my other red bitter drink. The other one I thought would be funny was the Trinidad Sour that I've talked about, that actually has 1.5 shots of bitters in it, which is absolutely outrageous. But it might be very interesting to do a milk clarification of that. And the other one I was thinking of going to town was just go to town and make a zombie, the fabled tiki drink that can be summarized as all the rums. You just there are people will do a lot of variations of what's in a tiki, but the common thing is, it should have at least 3 or 4 different rums in it. And I've got 3 or 4 different rums there. And just really go to town with that. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. That's my short list. I have to decide which of those to make. Do I make the bourbon and bitter additives? Do I make the Trinidad sour, which is nearly all bitters? Or do I make a zombie, which is an incredibly decadent drink with all the rums in it? I'm probably going to experiment with another number of them over time, but I'm just going to do one tonight. And it's funny, it's like, here we are. We're in a visual medium video. This is not very visual because there's actually these really long periods of nothing with the drink. And even if I started now, it wouldn't necessarily even be ready at the end of this stream, because it can easily take an hour and a half to do the preparation, can take much longer. You can choose to make longer. There's a bit at the start where you're meant to, after you initially mix the drink with the milk, you're meant to let it settle for at least half an hour. You can leave for, there's a very strong vote from Adele to make a zombie. A clarified zombie would be very interesting, I think. What does the Bible measurements for a zombie? Like I said, there are lots of variations. They say 1.5 ounce dark Jamaican rum, 1.5 ounce white rum, 1 ounce overproof rum, 1/2 ounce falernum, 1/2 ounce Don's mix, 3/4 ounce lime juice dash bitters, a few drops of absinthe, grenadine. I can do a solid variation on that with my rums. Yeah, I think I should. All right. Adele wins. So first, I'll just put in a mixing glass the components for the zombie. So I've got to get a few things for that. All the rums for a start. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Bacardi, falernum. Oh, almost out of falernum. An excuse to go to the bottle shop. I need more falernum. What else do I want? I want absinthe. I might be cheeky and put more absinthe in because I'm going to clarify it. Maybe 1/2 ounce. So not a lot more. What else did it say to put in? Should just know this. Don's mix. Okay. Lime juice. Bitters. Grenadine. Okay, I'm going to do grenadine and allspice dram. Where's my allspice dram? I've forgotten where it is. Is that it? That's pimento dram. That's what I want. That's a fun flavor, pimento dram. And lime juice. Dun, 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 dun. All right. And my mixing glass. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's get this party started, right? So here we go. We're doing 1.5 ounces of El White rum. Put that out of the way. 1.5 ounces of the spiced rum. A little bit of colour showing up now. Okay, 1 ounce of the overproof rum, 69% alcohol. Nice. Okay. So 1 ounce of the overproof rum. To give it a serious kick and make it darker. Adele, you put off your ironing for a fortnight. I know that feeling. Halfway through it. All right. Last consult of the recipe. It is 1/2 ounce of falernum. Okay. So I'm fiddling with this a bit. 1/2 ounce of the falernum. 1/2 ounce of falernum. Okay, I'm going to cheat because I'm doing an experiment. It said to only put a few drops of absinthe. I'm going to put about 1/4 ounce in. Oh my God, that really changed the color. That used to be rum color. Now it's going that sort of green, inky color. Okay. I'm going to put 1/2 ounce of pimento dram in there, which is not necessarily a traditional ingredient, but I quite like it. God, it smells, it's got such a strong smell. It's fantastic. It's from a berry that's known as allspice because people say it tastes like all spices. I'm going to put 1/2 ounce of my homemade grenadine in as well. Pretty syrupy. I think it's 1 ounce of the lime juice. Dark Jamaican rum. I'm going to put 1 ounce of lime juice in. It says 3/4 ounce, but I'm doing the clarifying. So I also want to be sure it's 1/2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ounces. Okay, it's going to be 7 ounces because it's important because you normally do the ratio of milk to the drink of 4:1. So I'll put 1.5, 2 ounces of milk in. Okay, I need the lime juice. I'm going to put 1 ounce of lime juice in. Oh, this is an exciting experiment. Yep, there we go. We got that, we got that, we got that. Oh my God, it's such a gross color. Okay, it is actually a really gross color. I'm really glad I'm clarifying this because the variations I've done on this have made it go a really gross, dirty watercolor. I'm even going to take a picture of that for before and after purposes. Right. Now I've got to get the milk. And this is just whole milk. You don't use low-fat milk because you need the fat. It needs to have fat in it to curdle. And that's where the clarifying comes from. So another container, I'm going to put 2 ounces of milk in. I was cleaning a little measuring jug over here. All right. So this is where it's actually going to look disgusting. So get some milk. Just a little bit of this milk left. Where's my measuring jigger? About 2 ounces. Okay. Now, apparently, it's very important you add your drink to the milk, not the milk to the drink, because it really changes the curdling process. It's science, kids. Right. So the next very important step is to put the dirty tap water into the milk. Some people say you should warm the milk up, and other people say don't. Just going to do a little mixy mix. Nothing too elaborate. I've watched quite a few videos of people doing this, but this is my first attempt at it myself. Okay, I think it should be fine. Pour the rest of the drinky poo in there. All right. Now, does that look like something you would want to drink? Because it really doesn't look great. It really does not look great. David, g'day. How are you, mate? Just in the midst of an experiment. I'm going to take a picture of that too to see how gross. Oh my God, it looks like vomit, honestly. It honestly looks like vomit. Cool. So now that's the end of that experiment. It literally just leave it for half an hour now. Nothing to do for half an hour. So we will just leave that be till, I don't know, 9 o'clock. And there should be some separation at that point. And then I can do the filtering, see what happens. Science is a wonderful thing. David, I'm assuming that the no is to my question, does that look like something you'd want to drink? Because I think that's a completely valid answer. A big old no. A great big no for that, because it really does not look very good. Again, it also is really counterintuitive. Like I say, I'm going to make this thing, this drink, by mixing up my booze and then adding milk to it. And you get the look on people's face, you're doing what? Yeah, and that will make the milk curdle. And it's like, isn't that a bad thing? Isn't the milk curdling a bad thing? No. Some magic via chemistry happens, and strange things happen. So at the moment, this definitely looks like a dirty, green, stagnant pool. David, you're okay to the point, and I think you're basically right. Looks like someone had a wank and a vomit and mixed the results. Honestly, it's while graphic, it is really quite difficult to argue with your description. It's right up there. Did I mention my onesie was a tad warm? Yes, but I have dedication to the cause, and when it's Onesie Wednesday, I'm going to wear a onesie. So even in public, I went and put the bins out wearing this. So did Mrs. Angry, for that matter. But it's a thing. It's a thing we do. The bins and the costumes. Don't know if I have any more costumes. I could go formal, I guess, for putting the bins out. Might do that next week. We shall see. Yeah, I could shoot a video. So, yeah, basically, if this clarified milk punch I'm doing works, I'm going to do it for a video, maybe for a series of videos. I feel like I want to really get stuck in and make a bunch of videos this weekend and then upload them progressively over the coming weeks, so I'm not stressed for time. Adele, you need a onesie. They used to be everywhere. What was it? Was it about 5 years ago? Onesies were just everywhere. You can still get them, but they were like everywhere. Time no longer has any meaning for me, but I think it was about 5 years ago that onesies were just everywhere. David, you think some things taste better than they look? I would not drink this. This is not what I'm going to drink. We're leaving it for half an hour or so. I'm going to leave it till 9, so that will have been 40 minutes at that time, and that's supposed to be enough time for the curds to separate from the drink, and then I am going to filter it, and it's supposed to come out really clear, like not crystal clear, but at the moment it's this pukey green color. So if it works, it should be a really nice translucent yellowy green when it's finished. Maybe light blue, who knows? Who knows? This being a complete experiment. It's the mad scientist at work. I want to try the other ones as well. Like, my idea is just like some drinks that are both pretty strong colors and pretty strong flavors, and do the milk clarification and see how much it changes. The other fiddly thing I feel compelled to try is called fat washing, where through fat or oil, you imbue the flavor of that fat or oil into the spirit. Like a lot of people like making bacon fat washed whiskeys, bourbon in particular. But you can use vegetable oils, vegetable fat. Like you could use coconut oil or olive oil, butter, probably avocado oil might be good. Go to some high-end place and get some really wholesome pure avocado oil and infuse gin or vodka with avocado oil. God, that would probably be pretty good. The trick is the way you do it. You heat up the oil or the fat if you're using animal fat, and then you stir it into the beverage, let it sit for a bit, and then most people recommend you freeze it, because then most of the fat will get to the top congeal and will freeze into a nice solid ring that you can easily take off, and then there isn't very much fat to filter out of the beverage at that point, and you have this beverage that has this really nice flavor. Stella, good evening. How are you? David, I've heard stories of mutton bird. I have not eaten mutton bird. I have heard stories that, yes, it does have quite the unique smell. Line Spider, hello, good evening, welcome to the soiree. We're all just chilling like a villain. I'm doing a big experiment with a milk clarified zombie. Environmental Coffee House, hello, good morning to you. Good evening for me, good morning to you. A little while since I've seen you in the chat. Lovely to see you. I hope you're keeping well. Just hanging. Get my fridges. Even if this thing is ready by the end of the stream, because I've got to go to work tomorrow. I don't want to be drinking really, particularly not a zombie, which is a really strong drink. So I don't know. I've heard rumors. I'm going to put this in the fridge. I've heard putting it in the fridge is a good thing to do. So I'm actually going to put it in the fridge. Do a little bit of spicy poos. I'm going to put that in the fridge. I've heard even filtering it in the fridge is a good idea. Hey, Musical Aviator. Oh, God, Sally been connecting firewood. Yes, that is a tiring thing to do. Environmental Coffee House. What's can't wake up early since you're home. Well, you've been up all night, or you're just up and about now? Most strenuous thing I did today, Stella, was go for a walk. Oh, also, and restrain myself from telling someone in a work meeting they were a fucking idiot and they should shut up. That was a considerable effort of will. So, not kind of felt physical. Yeah. We're all doing firewood stories. 8 cords. I'm going to do a search. How much is a cord of wood? I've heard that phrase used a lot, and I don't know exactly what it means. Ugh, can Google use my microphone? Okay. How much is a cord of wood?
1 cord is equivalent to 3,624.556 liters.
A cord is 4 feet high, 8 feet long. Wow. Average length of 16 inches. That's a lot of wood. That is a lot of wood. That's what enjoying Facebook locked. You seem to pick a lot of fights on Facebook. Oh dear. You were telling someone how much you'd charge to let him watch you take Pac-Man. Oh dear. Yes, I have noticed you seem to pick a few fights on Facebook. You were streaming Flight Sim Meekatharra to Carnarvon, going over Mount Augustus, which also known as Barangara, which is an Inselberg like Uluru, but bigger. So that means it's a single rock. Oh, he came to Uline's party. Oh, well, there you go. Oh, wowzers. Environmental Coffee House. It was 100 acres of trees that were taken out by a tornado. God damn, that's a lot of wood chopping. That is some manly shit right there. Oh, no. I'm weak as piss. I'd be going, can I supervise, fellas? Just, provide moral support? I'd last about half an hour chopping wood. And not just because my shoulder's fucked at the moment, but just generally because I'm a wuss. Still, you got a ute load. That sounds like about 1 cord compared to what we're saying here. How many cords? Eight cords. Yeah, Stella, I think your ute load's somewhere in the region of 1 cord or half a cord. I don't know. But 8 cords is another measurement term for that is a metric fuck ton. That is a lot of wood. Good way to gain it too. Trees that had been knocked down by a tornado. How do you cut your finger down? You cut your finger ironing. So yes, you probably shouldn't be allowed near axes if you're going to cut your finger ironing. I do that sometimes. But you get the thing where you're bleeding and you go, what do I fucking do? what is that? It's like, I wasn't even doing anything. What? It doesn't happen often, but every now and then, it's like, you do things like, wait, shouldn't I know why I'm bleeding? Why am I bleeding? Musical elevator confirm, yes, Mount Augustus is a single rock structure on a big floodplain. Not as striking as Uluru, maybe, because it's more sloped, but essentially the same kind of thing. Cool. Oh, yeah, Adele, clumsy person life. Me with an actual knife where I become a cautionary tale for people. God, I almost cut my finger the other day. You know how they say a blunt knife can be more dangerous than a sharp knife? There's something to that. I was trying to cut sourdough my daughter made. You know, you get that really thick crust on sourdough, and the knife I was using was not the best knife. I keep feeling like I should go out and get some special knives for this, but I'm sort of sawing away at it, and I slipped, and I just missed like fucking chopping my finger, but it caught on my fingernail, just cut a little divot in the fingernail. Was so close to cutting my finger and blood being everywhere, but yeah. Environment Coffeehouse, yeah, husband's unbelievable. Got the garden all tiled. Nice. Flats of veggies going inside. Still supposed to get snow this week. Wow. Sounds like you're getting very organized there. Malone Spider, you've been a firewood cutter and mouse hunter. Yeah. Yeah, when you're a kid in the country, they make you do things like that. Adele, wet sharpening for a nice sharp blade. So yeah, I've never been. There's always something really creepy about someone taking a lot of trouble to sharpen a blade. You know, we do the thing with the whetstone and do, and it's just it just always seems very serial killer-ish when someone's just taking a lot of time to really sharpen a blade. Oh, good God. Environment and Courthouse. Your husband sliced his hand and finger open 2 years ago. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, yes. Household accidents and semi-industrial accidents. Terrible, terrible, terrible things. My brother fell from a shed. This was years ago, from the higher level of a shed. And the fall wasn't that bad, but as he fell, he's flailing around as you do when you fall. Like he fell off a raised bit, like a hayloft, and he's like doing the reflex trying to grab something, and he had a wedding ring on, and there was a nail sticking out of a bit of wood, and the nail caught under the wedding ring and just ripped his finger off. Like, yikes. Yeah, so he's Frodo of the Nine Fingers these days. Accident avoidance. I am pretty useless with accident. Remember when I was at uni doing the theatre degree I did, the trivia that people often ask, where did Aidsy and I meet? We did the same theatre course at uni back in the deep, dark past. And we had one unit that I did for a semester was acrobatics. And oh, by jings, it is so easy to get injured when learning and doing acrobatics. I didn't get any serious injuries, but I did get the most injuries. I got 3 injuries, and they were all very different. Yes, de-sleeve the finger, Megaleech, that's what we call it. Because I think the bone was actually still there. It just ripped all the skin off the finger. Oh, God, Stella, your uncles were slaughtermen. Obsessed over sharpening knives prior to carving this under. Oh, yes. Slaughtermen take knives seriously. They are very serious about blades and the carving of meat. Which you want, Spider, in your first job? Sliced skin off your thumb twice. Oh, with a Stanley. God damn. And once ripped skin off with a button maker. Oh, you had to do your own first aid back in 1988. Damn. Yeah, back in the 80s, mate, our generation was like, fuck yourself up. Nah, fucking put a Band-Aid on it. Walk it off. One of my injuries, and this was a unique one. I think I got 3 injuries. One other person got 2 injuries, and most people got 1 injury. Normally, it's like falling and you a slight sprain when you put your arm out. I think I did an arm, an ankle, and I don't know. I have these really rough bits of skin on my big toes, on the underside of my big toes, and we were doing this stuff on mats. The room we were in had a carpet. It was a very rough carpet, a lot of friction on it. But we were doing stuff on these mats. They were just really thin mats, but we were doing some practice falls and whatnot. I think I was doing a bit of stage fighting, actually. Someone was practicing something with me, and it was either, I think it was a punch to the stomach. I had to react to a stage punch to the stomach or a kick to the balls, something in my midsection anyway. I'm not sure. So it's all about my reaction because they're not hitting me. I sort of have, like if he's punching the stomach, I actually catch the fist. You go, whoa, but my reaction is got to make it look real. So I double back and sort of go backwards quite far. And I slid back and I was on a mat that was slick and my feet just sort of slid across it, and I slid off the edge of the mat into this carpet that had a lot of friction. Like the mats had no, my feet slide across it and then hit the mat, and I put all this weight on the ball of my big toe where the rough skin was, and it just tore off this chunk of this chunk of the rough skin on the bottom of my big toe. Fuck, it hurt. And it was a real shock as well. And I was very grossed out by it. I was out for the rest of the day at that point. So, Lion Spider, in your second job, cut your knee 1 centimeter deep, 10 centimeters long from a car part. Oh, shit. Your animal science course was the first aid you used. You made your co-workers sick. Actually made someone throw up. Nice. David, you've toppled off a high chair when you were a toddler. Oh, Jesus. As a toddler, you toppled your high chair, smashed your face in some plates, and you've still got the scar. Jesus. That must have freaked your parents out so much. Oh, my God. Oh, God. Now we're just outdoing each other with gross stories now. Stella, you're on yarn about a driller's offsider who got a hand crush. He's completely fine until he pulled his glove off and his fingers fell out of the glove into his hand, and then he fainted. Yep. Yeah, he probably went straight into shock. Like I got hit in the head with a discus when I was at school, and it was a minor miracle it didn't kill me, because if like it literally just glanced off the top of off the crown of my head when I've told this story a lot of times. I was bent over. I think it just barely glanced over me off the crest of my head, but it felt like someone stood over me with a shovel and just smashed me into the ground. And I just bam straight into the ground. And I think I went into straight shock because I didn't really feel any pain. I was yelling, but it's more that I felt like I should be yelling. And I had my hands here and I was just yelling. This was at school PE. I was in about year 10. And a couple of the guys ran up because they were all really quite freaked out. Ran up to see how bad it was. And apparently it was really hard to unlock my hands from my head because I was just really holding it tight. And because it was a scalp wound, a blunt instrument scalp wound, there was fucking blood everywhere. But I never lost consciousness and I never seemed that bad. So no one panicked. This is, pre-mobile phones and shit. No one called an ambulance. They just took, like I was at the sports oval, which was next to the school. They just took me back to the school. And I went to the library, which is where the first aid station was. And they sort of had my head under a tap trying to wash all the blood out of my hair. I do remember 2 of the guys carried me back to school. Well, I was walking, but my hands were over their shoulders and they were carrying me. And my hands looked like they'd been dipped in red paint. They were just completely covered in blood. And I was just looking at them going, is that mine? Is that blood? Is that? And they were just laughing because they were thought like, dude, you're fucked. How are you still with us? That was like 1.5 kilogram discus that just sconed you. And so I eventually went to hospital. The whole thing was a shit show. Like, I should have just been put in a fucking ambulance and raced to hospital. And because I stayed conscious, no one did. That was like, they were the fucking worst. It should have been get an ambulance, get him to hospital. But no one did. Called my mum. My mum took me to the hospital. We sat in casualty for 6 fucking hours. But yeah, it turned out no serious injuries. I'm fine. I'm fine. I think it's smashed in the head. But this is probably my worst injury, getting smashed in the head by a discus. Ugh. Then you hear stories about some school, like a kid getting run through with a javelin at their sports carnival. But yeah. Holy shit. David, when your toddler smashed your face, small country town in Tasmania, only doctor available was drunk when he stitched you up. So the scar was pretty horrible. Holy fuck, dude. That is such a good story. It's absolutely, I'm sure, because you're only a toddler, the trauma was wiped out. But Jesus, that sounds like a horrible experience. But with the benefit of distance and the fact that you're okay, fucking hilarious story. Oh my God. All right, these stories are just the best. Catherine, before your 6th birthday, you trod on a razor blade in the shower and your big toe was just hanging on by a piece of skin. Oh my fucking God. Did they microsurgery it back on? Oh my God. Lion Spider, at the car company, an idiot kept carrying car batteries on the top of his head. Oh no! Until one of the cells broke and he had a shower of battery acid. Shimmy's got a bald patch now. Oh hurrah! Addie, finished the ironing. Bit of mending. Not fainting. Yeah. That was it, Stella. No hospital. Just have a teaspoon of cement and harden the fuck up. The other injuries I just got minor. Look, I'll give you all the finger. You probably just tell that finger's crooked at the top. Like, I'm just double finger. Double the bit. You probably tell this one is bent at the top. What happened, I've told this story before, but playing cricket at school with no gloves, and one guy was just a demon fast bowler, and he pitched one short at me, and I thought, teach you a lesson. I was going to try and hook him, and it was just a bit faster than I thought, and the ball hit me right on that finger. And instantly, I again just went shot. Like the whole arm went numb. I almost fainted. Apparently, because I fell down straight away, and the way the ball went straight up, people thought it had hit me in the head. But it hit my hand. The whole arm went numb, and I kind of went in shock. And I stumbled and blah, blah, and one of the guys grabbing it. Oh, he's done the fingernail, because the fingernail was hanging off like that. But when I eventually got to the hospital, which again, no one called an ambulance, I eventually got there. I had an x-ray. This top bone was pulverized, like it was in about 8 pieces, and they didn't set it or anything. They just put a bandage. So the fucking bone set crooked. So that finger's crooked. I tell you one, you ran under some sort of palm, got massive spikes in your head as a kid. Geez, still pulling it out a day or so later, washing your hair. Damn it. Oh, David went over the handlebars of a dirt bike at 120 kilometers an hour when you were 14. Yeah, see, again, that could have been fatal, but you just got a few cuts and bruises. We survive the weirdest stuff, and the weirdest stuff kills people. Was your Environmental Coffee House? You've told me your name before. I'll keep calling you Environmental Coffee House, but if you tell me your name again, I'll try and remember it. The story of the United States, John. Oh my God, John Bobbitt got his penis cut off by Lorena. Your husband grew up with that dude. Not only that, here's the trivia not everyone knows, because John Bobbitt did get his penis reattached, and he actually made a porno, which I've seen. I had it on VHS at one point. It was called Frankenpenis. Because he was just proving that he had a working penis, basically. And the best way to prove it to the world was to make a porno. There you go. Oh, no. Light Spider, you have so many of these stories. You're a machine operator, closing machine at Golden Circle. Didn't realize palm handling can lids was bleeding. Oh, and all the stock. That's the thing. You got a really sharp cut, and you'd been handling stuff for God knows how long, bleeding into who knows what. So I had to chuck all the stock away just in case someone opened it up at home later, and it was not that nice pineapple juice filling. It was full of blood. Oh my God. And he fell down the stairs, felt like in slow motion in goth boots at uni. Oh, Jesus. I'm trying to think what other stupid things the one about going over the handlebars of a motorbike. I didn't go over the handlebars, but I was riding this really little bike a friend had on their farm. It was like 50 cc's. It was this tiny little thing, but it was heaps fun. Like its top speed was about 40 kilometers an hour, 50. But so I'm not wearing a helmet or anything, and I'm just, it is this tiny little thing. I was a teenager, and I was going down a hill on the farm that I'd been down heaps of times because that's where you could pick up the most speed, going down a hill. And I was going down the hill, and I just kind of looked up the hill and went, there's a fence. That's a new fence. This fence wasn't there last time I was here. And I'm going down the hill, and I'm just tracking down this fence line going, I wonder where that goes to. And it went right in front of me. And at the last second, I saw the fence was right in front of me. It was a wire fence. No, the top bit might have been barbed wire. I braked, and it had no effect whatsoever because I was on dirt and I was almost there. Again, luckily I was going about 40 kilometers an hour, not more. But instead of going over the handlebars, what happened is the little front wheel went under the bottom wire of the fence, and the bike kept going. So it started tipping up, and I think I might have twisted the throttle as I was falling backwards, and it just threw me backwards. And really, luckily, I didn't have enough time to throw out an arm or a leg, as you sort of do by impulse. I just went straight on my back, just thud, hit the ground, knocked the wind out of me. I don't think I even had bruises. It just like knocked the wind out of me. Rather than getting horribly injured, I was just lying there going, oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Oh, Catherine, you did get your toe put on. That's nice. But then a guy came in for a heart attack, so they didn't do your paperwork. And you had to wait for 4 hours. At least they put your toe back on. Oh. Now, there's just all the ladies sharing stories about goth boots and spike heels and falling over. Yes, I've been... Dr. Martens boots were like... no, I've worn like cowboy boots that have heels. They're not like stilettos or anything. But yeah, the bigger your boots, the more likely you are to fall over. Absolutely. That's why you always accident prone. I have tics and tremors. Yeah, I do. Oh my God, talking about tics. I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline. Someone saying they have Tourette's, and it was either one of their tics or their only tic was compulsive coughing, and they can't stop it, and they do it at people. It's a compulsive tic, and the whole story was about oh yes, imagine living through COVID-19 paranoia when you have Tourette's and your dominant tic is uncontrollable coughing. I could see that making life difficult. Well gifted Aspie, bonjour to you. That is true, Adele. Well-made boots actually give you balance. Oh, you know, the funny thing I had when I was wearing big Doc Martens, like the like 18-hole ones, I wore them to, I thought that might have been you, Lee, just with your traditional bonjour greeting. Wearing big, heavy Doc Martens at a theme park. And it's one of those rides where it's like a roller coaster-ish thing, but your legs dangle. You're like sitting on this funny frame thing and your legs dangle. And the G-forces of going around these curves and stuff with your legs dangling the boots were really pulling on my legs. And I don't think I noticed it so much when I first got off the ride. But I think I was like, oh, Jesus, my legs feel a bit funny. But the next day, because the G-forces on these heavy boots had been pulling on my legs in a really unnatural way, the next day, all the muscles in my leg were so fucked and I could barely walk. I was just like hobbling around like I'm in so much pain. Oh my God, what happened? It's terrible. Inspired UFT is saying, if we tell you don't touch your face. Oh God, then you get itchy. Yes, no. Oh, wow. Yes, you release the tension, hiding. David, Alexi Sales, Dr. Martin's Boots song from the young ones. Dr. Martin's Boots, classless, matchless, only £19 and 99p. Which was really funny because, yeah, Dr. Martin's boots were a working class boot in the 80s. They were very cheap. They were workers' boots in London. And it's like, rough types wore them. But they were somewhat exotic here in Australia and they became really trendy. And I remember at the time, English people going, why the fuck do you people think this is trendy? Those are like yobbo boots. And there was a similar thing in the 90s. R.M. Williams boots got popular in the UK and America, I think, and because they were slightly different and new, like Blunstons with the elastic sides. There was a period when they were really trendy in the UK and the US in the 90s, and because I grew up in the country, and the elastic side Blunstons are just fucking bogan boots. Very practical, very functional boots. But it's like, they're not trendy, they're not groovy wear, they're bogan boots. But they ended up in a different market where people hadn't seen them before, the US and the UK, and they become trendy. Yeah, I suppose like gum boots in the UK. And when Ugg boots got popular in the US about 10 years ago, Ugg boots have been around my entire life. And when they got sort of popular and trendy, like with the fashionable young things in the US about 10 years ago, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, Stella, I would have fallen hard in the 90s for a pretty floral dress with Dr. Martens. Absolutely. This is exactly right, David. Blunstons, they're comfortable, they're functional, they're hard wearing, but they're not trendy. They're not fashionable. But they ended up being trendy and fashionable at this point in the 90s. It's very weird. I'm going to show you this thing I got in the mail. I don't know if someone I know, that's just flaring out, works for The Shovel. This has got a sticker from The Shovel, which is a satire site. There's no explanation as to who sent me this or why. I'm not on any mailing list for The Shovel, so someone's got my GP off my YouTube channel, which is cool. So I don't know if someone I know works for The Shovel, but this, it's a big fridge magnet. You can probably read it. It says 2020 cancelled. And what it says is, after careful consideration, we have decided it is no longer in the best interests of everyone involved to proceed with 2020. While we recognize that a lot of hard work has gone into preparing for 2020, if we're honest, it has turned into a bit of a shit show, and we feel it's best to just call it off. We understand that some of you are looking forward to seeing what cruel and peculiar clusterfuck of a disaster 2020 would throw up next, but on balance, we believe it's probably best not to find out. We will instead provide ticket holders with a full refund or an exchange and start afresh with 2021 on Monday. Our plan is to deliver a more enjoyable year, similar to, say, 2016, which everyone thought was the absolutely worst at the time, but in retrospect was a fucking walk in the park. See you next year from The Shovel. Quite like that. It's going on the fridge. 2020 cancelled on the fridge. So I don't know who sent that to me, but thank you, whoever it was. Ooh, it's come up on 9 o'clock. Time to check on my milk clarification. It's been in the fridge for about 40 minutes. All right. It looks grosser than ever. Okay. Oh, you probably can't see much detail on the screen, but there is some separation between the milk curd and the drink. You can see clear. But now comes the filtering stage. And I got a special bottle for this. Cute little bottle. I got a funnel. That's too big. I need the smaller funnel. Excuse me. I will be back in a minute. Just going to get my smaller funnel, which is around here. Ooh, unless... Oh, no, that'll do. Look at that. So I'm also going to put a coffee filter in here. I had my coffee filter. Where did I put it? Here. It is Onesie Wednesday, Annette. I got my Totoro onesie on. Yes. I feel I can cosplay as Totoro with my physique, definitely. Ooh, Catherine, your most comfortable combo winter Doc Martens Bonds Explorer socks. Nice. Bonds Explorer socks are always too tight for my legs. So, no, actually, I am going to use the bigger thing and I'm going to put it in my mixing glass and I'll store it in the bottle later. No, that'll do. I'm going to go back and get the bigger funnel again. Right, so bigger funnel. Now, I watched a lot of videos of people doing this, so there's a little trick to do here, because what you actually want is for the curds to be at the bottom of your filter, because it seems strange to me, but the curds actually act as a filter. So what's going to come through first will be some liquid that didn't go through the curds. So what we do is gently pour this in. And it's going to start to settle. It's going to settle. Fill that up. So the initial stuff is going through relatively quickly. What we want, and it's also slowing down quite quickly, because what's happening is the curds are settling to the bottom of the funnel, and it's slowing the speed at which the stuff goes through. So what I'm going to do is, actually, maybe I'll just put it through twice, in fact, because it's going through fairly fast, and it is coming out a really nice pale amber color, actually. So this, I'm going to put this in the fridge because this is going to take a while. I'll check on it in about half an hour. Just you go in there. I'll check on it in about half an hour and see how it's going. And then I'll probably filter it for a second time. So now we're talking socks, which I like. See, I don't know, Explorer socks, they're too thick and tight. I've got big calves and I always have a bad reaction to Explorer socks. It's like they're too tough. Oh, Stella, bamboo work socks. Take it from an underground miner. Nice. Nice. I will take it from an underground miner. I'll have to look for bamboo work socks. Line Spider, that's a really good tip, actually. Taste it between filters. I think I will. I think I will, young man. Ah, Addy repairing cardies. Nice. All right. Yeah, okay. Lee's suggesting people joining in on the chat, and that's something I can get behind. So I'll share the link. If you've got a webcam and want to join the live stream, still don't know. I'm going to check. Is Facebook still working? Facebook has been acting really weird with comments. And so I don't know if all the comments from Facebook come through. Very hard to be sure. In fact, I don't think that link posted to Facebook. I did post to a YouTube, and I think everyone in the chat is on YouTube anyway. So if anyone feels so disposed to join in, have a little chatty poos, I'm up for it. Absolutely up for it. All you need do is click on that link and you can join right in. I'm sure it was colder, and then I just like really lean into the whole onesie thing. But it gets too hot too quickly. Really does. Ugh. So you get swelling on your legs. You're sweating in gum boots, bamboo socks, moisture wicking. Okay. Oh, and the band, that's the big one for me. I don't want the bands cutting into my legs. Okay. I'm now looking up bamboo socks. Bamboo underwear. Bamboo sheets. Bamboo socks. Bamboo work socks. Free delivery. That's the sort of thing I want to see. But they'd have to be in Australia because I think the problem with ordering from overseas at the moment is it's very unreliable. Lee, sorry, I'm just going to grab Lee is here. Lee, how you doing?
Hey.
Good to see you, man. I'm just exploring the exciting world of bamboo socks now. Catherine, that's okay. If you're cozy in bed, just watch from a comfortable position. So, free shipping on all orders of mail. Bamboo socks without compression. 5 pairs, black, very workman-like. Are they Australian? Because I am very iffy about shipping from overseas at the moment. Okay, it says it's from Europe. But they do have a contact in Queensland. Okay. So that's whoop. Due to COVID-19, there may be a delay in delivery of your parcel. Delay will be approximately 14 days. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Not sure about that. I got spoiled since my gin got delivered almost instantly. The local gin that I ordered during the chat on a Friday night, and it actually arrived on Monday, which blew my mind. It came via courier rather than via post, but I was absolutely stunned by that level of service, honestly. Very efficient couriers. Well, you've got a happy bouncing person behind you, Lee.
Yeah, it's my oldest son.
It looks like he's in a good
sleep,
mood.
Apparently.
Yeah. Adele, it took you 2 weeks to get one from Sydney, but very tasty and so worth it. Yes, well, I pledged I'm not buying any other booze till I actually finish something. So that's when I started going, I'm almost out of Falernum. I can order some Falernum soon. It's just, there is that aspect of if you order something online, it's like a present that comes, somewhere down the line, someone delivers you a present, even though you paid for it yourself. It's still like it's a present that arrives like magic.
Oh, I've got some good news.
Oh, what's your good news?
My student hardship grant got approved.
Oh, that's good.
So in another 2 to 3 weeks, I'll be having a Surface Pro X.
Oh, nice. Oh, look, I'm going to add an environmental coffee house to the stream.
Bedhead. Wait a
Sandy,
minute.
we've all got isolation hair, Sandy. That's. I got razzed by the security people because I'm working from home, but I had to go into the office actually to get a flu shot. And so I showed them my ID saying, yeah, I'm meant to be here. And the ID had been taken just after I had a haircut. You can't really tell that my hair goes a bit wayward now. But the security guard just kind of looked at me and she smirked and went, what happened? And I'm like, okay, isolation and all that. We're all struggling.
I'm freezing.
Is it cold where you are, Sandy?
Well, I got the wood stove on, but yeah, it's cold. Let me see what it is. It's May 6th, and it is 36 degrees. 36.
Holy cow.
I don't know if you can say it. It's cold.
Here.
We're supposed to get snow.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, we're supposed to be going into our winter, and we've actually got much warmer weather than you at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's crazy.
Oh,
It's the polar vortex. We talk about it on our channel all the time. The polar vortex is dipping down from the Arctic, and we are getting Arctic air. And in the southern United States, they're getting really, a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So more so than they should. Well, hello, well-gifted Aspie.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm Lee, by the way.
Hi, Lee. I'm Sandy. I figured,
Nice to
well,
meet
what
you,
the hell?
Sandy.
I never do this early in the morning.
See, late night for us, early morning for you, Sandy.
I know. I mean, I just tumbled out of bed to brush my hair.
And where do you hail from, Sandy?
I am in Western New York, which is okay. I am 80 miles south of Canada, so I'm. Buffalo,
that's why it's still cold where you are. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You're almost in Canada.
Yeah.
Safwa's asking, is the US the only country that uses Fahrenheit? I don't think so. I know
we're morons. I don't know why we haven't changed years ago. I mean, I went to high school, and I'm not going to tell you how long ago. A very long time ago, and that was a controversy then.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The resistance to the metric system is interesting.
It's ignorant.
It's also because I would have thought the US would leap onto it because the imperial measurement system that you still use, that's like a legacy of English colonialism. And I would have thought you'd have thrown it in a hurry.
Honey, if they could burn witches here like in Salem, they still would.
Yeah, you get that vibe sometimes, like from the outside, seeing those protests of the people with guns saying, "Oh, stop the lockdowns," is really quite disturbing to see.
The clueless moron brigade.
Oh yeah, that's really, really concerning to see.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, Alternative Adele sending so much love in New York. Hi. I know. Believe me, I'm not embarrassed to be an American, but I sure as hell would like to live somewhere else if I could. But I have a beautiful place where I live.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I mean, there are some people in Australia that when I see them stick their stupid heads up on the media, I'm like, oh, God.
Right.
I don't want this idiot to represent me. What are they doing?
Well, your guy,
is
he much better?
No, honestly.
No.
of all the world leaders, nobody will suck up to Trump as much as our Prime Minister will. Our Prime Minister, even Boris Johnson in the UK, won't suck up. He sucks up to Trump, not as much as Scott Morrison, though.
Trump says bend over, and Morrison says,
Sandy?
Yes, honey.
I've actually met somebody 9 years ago, and it's hard to believe he is where he is now.
Where is he now?
In the presidency.
Oh, you met the Donald? Oh God. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that would be weird. That would definitely be weird.
You've got the taint.
Yeah. It was all do re me.
We are embarrassed. Trust me. My husband can't even watch them on television. Now, I will say, my husband's a hunter. We live off grid. Like, we are really in Western New York. We have acreage and, all that crap, right? But my husband will look at Donald Trump and he will, can I curse? He will say,
all the time,
what a fucking asshole. I mean, he just can't, he just can't stand the guy. But he gets really upset because of a lot of his friends are Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Because they're clueless fucking morons. And they parrot all this bullshit. And I said to my husband, look, this is what you have to realize. They're in a cult. And you can't do anything about people in a cult. You have to love your nephews or, whoever's upsetting you and just understand you can't change them until the cult leader dies or it's over. And all cults come to an end.
Yeah, it's like flat earthers. You can't change their thinking.
Oh, flat earthers. That's a whole nother goddamn.
Or anti-vaxxers. Like, anti-vaxxers have said to me, you got autism because you got vaccinated as a baby. And I'm thinking, I'd rather have autism than die of polio.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's always the thing. Like, no, the study that they always cite has been proven to be a deliberate fraud. But B, as you say, even if a tiny number of vaccinations caused autism, way better than polio.
God.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, that's why our channel is very scientific. We're science research based. In fact, last night I did my show on the science of research. How it works in a university, because I was in the university for 20 years. Somebody in your audience named, what is it here? Musical aviator. Okay, chemtrails. Well, obviously chemtrails. We call them cap trails because they are based from capitalism. And flying is a capitalistic, and we are ultra capitalists now, aren't we? Disgustingly ultra capitalists. I mean, I'm radical. If you come on our channel, you'll see. But
we like radical. I mean, the the scientific name, the condensation trails. It's really weird because you actually rarely see them in Australia. You see them occasionally, and that's because, I guess, relatively low humidity or whatever atmospheric conditions. But last time I was in England, I was stunned, like, oh my God, they're everywhere. And I could see, once, if you get a paranoid idea in your head, if you see these trails in the sky everywhere, if you were paranoid, it would really start to mess with you. But,
well, there's a lot of paranoia now. We are living in a society, culture, time of extreme paranoia. But human beings have always gone through this. We've been paranoid beings, I think, since we were cave people.
I think that's a fair call, actually.
Yeah. And I've noticed that with this time that we've entered, like in Australia, people are like, oh, lift the restrictions now. And I'm like, no, that's too soon. And they're like, no, but we want our freedom. I'm like, that is narcissistic of you to think that.
Another, narcissism is probably up statistically significantly in the last 40 years.
Yeah, well, it seems to be rewarded. You see all these people that have nothing going for them apart from a hugely inflated sense of self, and they succeed. And you go, well, hey, clearly narcissism's good.
Well, I didn't have narcissism, but I was one of those, had an inflated sense of self. And then in 2015, I jumped in front of a car because I got depressed. Because everything didn't go for me all of a sudden.
Oh. Well, you're here now.
I'm here now. Not only do I have Asperger's, I've got an acquired brain injury too.
Well, you're probably bright.
He is. He's a bright lad, definitely. I mean, Lee and I have hung out, although we're in different cities now. We used to be in the same city, so we've hung out a couple of times. But
cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, everyone has challenges, like you say, and it's just good. Look, there's a really full-on thing for you to have gone through, but the plus side, you actually came through the other side, and we can be happy for that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming through and being here.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Justin's
Yeah,
just coming.
exactly.
Just say hello. Yeah.
Hi, Justin. I see Musical Aviator. Are you an actual pilot? Anyway, Trump, president of the narcissist states of America. Yeah, it is a sick country. I'm sorry. We are just in a fucking sick country. And I don't want to be part of it, so I don't leave my property. I mean, well, we can, but I don't.
Yeah, but you got your own little place there, which is nice.
Absolutely. We don't need anything.
Yes, I think Musical Aviator is a pilot and also does a lot of flight sim stuff as well.
That's cool.
So, but
a lot of pilots in my family. I rail against fossil fuels, but my brother has his own plane. My father flew and just sold his plane at age 87, and he's going to be 90 this year. They were flying. And my nephew's a private pilot, and he says he's a private pilot. He's flown a Cessna 182. He usually flies a Piper. That's cool. My brother he's had 3, but he had a V-twin Bonanza, if you know what that is. That was beautiful. It was from the 1950s. It was redone. Yeah, but he sold that. He upgraded when he upgraded his wife. So I don't know what he upgraded to something better. Stella says, my friend in Maryland asked me this morning if Australia is taking asylum seekers. It's too hot for me. I'd rather go to I would like to go to Arctic or
Canada.
Well, Canada would be nice. My husband's daughter is Canadian. But at this point in life, it's like, I'm old. Why bother?
Yeah, one of my friends is Canadian, and yeah, he's.
I gotta move up this chair. Oh God.
Yeah. If you like the cooler weather, we have a couple of people in the chat who are from Tasmania, down the southern island off the coast of Australia. Quite cool there in winter and very temperate in summer. And some beautiful wilderness areas there too, actually.
I watch a gal from Tasmania, Faint Signals of Vega.
Oh, there you go.
She's a vegan activist, and I like watching her. She makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I like her. Yeah, we all watch each other's channels, you know. I just haven't taught you in a long time because I fucking get up early. I mean,
time difference. Yes. Yeah.
It is very early. Let me see. 7:22. Then they sent my husband back to work, so he's getting up at 5:30, and of course, who else has to get up at 5:30 with him?
Yeah. When you're together, same as
I wish they didn't, because I need more work done outside.
I just dropped a name in chat.
You did? Oh, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a lot better to look at than goddamn Trump. But everybody calls him a neoliberal, you know. But, and I'm sorry to take over your show, but what he did was they had that mass shooting in Nova Scotia, and he has now made assault weapons illegal. Not in this stupid ass country. Nope.
Yep. It's what happened it wasn't even assault weapons. It was just a broad range of weapons was made illegal in Australia after the Port Arthur shooting, after the recent mosque shooting in New Zealand. They enacted similar laws. So yes, some people can take action, but yeah.
Do people hunt in Australia for their food?
If you're out in the country,
we do. My husband does.
It would be more off. Some people would do it for food. It would be more often for people like with farms, clearing some animals from the property. We have a problem with ferals. Oh God, because I grew up in the country. The lads out on the farm, they'd be going, "We're going spotlighting," and Justin's going to join us, I think.
Hi, Justin.
Hey, Justin, how's it going, man?
Hi. Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Yeah. we're
Yeah, good to
shooting
see you.
where I grew up was called spotlighting, and because what they do, they'd be on a utility with big spotlights on it, and they do it at night, and they're looking for, because the spotlight would pick out the eyes of the animal. They're normally after wild pigs, and they just go, "There's one," and the number of injuries and fatalities that happened around my town from drunk people going spotlighting at night.
Oh my God.
It's
No,
just
we got a lot of
mad.
rules. There's no night hunting here. My husband gets a deer or two a year, and he eats
Okay.
it. I cook it. I mean, I make
Yeah.
venison and I make chili.
Yeah.
Sure is cheap. Just pay for the hunting license. Stella, why don't you come on? Somebody's
Should I
got their
explain
YouTube on.
crazy
Oh, Justin, I think we're picking up an echo from you.
That's because he's got his YouTube on also.
Is it-
Yeah,
He's
turn it.
adjusting stuff now.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
turn
that
your
sounds better.
YouTube off. Or
Yeah.
turn your volume on your
Now
YouTube
I don't know
off.
if you can hear us, but at least we're not getting the
I
echo.
can hear you.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. That's all good. There you go. Whatever
Yeah.
you did, fixed it.
Come
Okay.
on, Stella. Come on
Yeah.
with those.
I should tell you about the crazy electoral system to elect delegates to the DNC convention that Democrats abroad is using.
Oh, yeah, because Justin's working
Oh,
for Democrats
no.
abroad. Tell us about it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Okay. So Environmental Coffee House. First of all, you're in the U.S. Yeah.
New York State.
So basically, the Democratic Party. I'm actually a U.S. citizen in Australia, and the Democratic Party actually has a branch outside the U.S. So that's actually for starters. And there's actually a primary, there's actually a primary that takes place for Americans abroad, and it sends delegates to the convention. Now, the crazy system is that they divide the world into three. And there are 9 delegates that are chosen on a regional basis. Now, logically speaking, we would think, okay, 3 for each region. No, it's basically a free for all based on the vote, based on the percentage of the vote that is cast in each region of the world. So I think Europe got like 60%. Like Europe cast 60% of the votes, so they got like 6 delegates or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Asia only got the Asia Pacific region only got 1, and the Americas ironically got 2. And so that's the first crazy part of it, that you got the system of what is essentially kind of a proportional based system of allocating delegates in the first instance, and then when it actually comes to actually electing the people that actually serve as delegates, we're actually using a weighted version of preferential voting. So basically, if in the primary Australia cast 10% of the vote in Asia Pacific region, which I think it actually did, then that means that all the votes that the electors in Australia cast are weighted to equate to 10% of the vote.
Okay.
So think about how complicated that would be.
That's really complicated.
It is complicated.
Annette's joining us.
Nettie Nutcracker.
We're both doing Onesie Wednesday.
A girl. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
Another
just got.
So trying to use this.
I'm just
system
wearing
of,
a jumper. A friend
okay,
gave me.
using preferential voting with votes weighted at different with different values. I mean, I don't know quite. They'll need some computer program to do it, but I have no idea how that's going to work.
That sounds wildly
Is
complicated.
Bernie on the ballots? Because New York had canceled the primary, and then everybody went nuts. And I'm voting for Bernie.
Our primary happened back in March before Bernie dropped out, and Bernie actually won that primary big. It was actually the last primary for win.
Well, he's going to win in New York.
Yeah. Well, he won. Yeah, I mean, he won about. It was like over 50% of the vote, and Joe Biden only got like 20% of the vote.
Joe Biden is a disgusting. I mean, we are fucked here. Okay, we have the choice between dumb and dumber. I don't know what the hell.
I mean, what's going to happen
Joe
if they have
Biden is
debate? It's
basically
gonna be
a
like an old
conservative.
man slap fight.
But
In any
the
other
environmental
country,
rules, that's the problem.
the thing is, in any other country, I think Joe Biden would actually be in a conservative party. I mean, if he was in
Sure.
Australia,
yeah.
he would be in the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
No,
He's
no
like-
question about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
think
got
Joe
good
Biden would have-
attitudes. He's got good attitudes towards working people. I'll give him that. He's tried to stay in touch with working people, but he's just gone, hey, why don't I be good friends with someone who thinks slavery should still be a thing, like Strom Thurmond? And I'm like, oh my God. Hey, look, I'm going to give you quickly a progress report. I'll do this a bit bigger so you can see it.
Cheers.
Look at the color. It was previously, this was this incredibly gross green vomit color. And then it's this really brilliant sort of amber green, yellow green. It's really nice. I just thought I'd share. Oh no, this one looks better. There we go. I just thought it's still going through very slowly, but I thought I'd share a progress report.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like your hoodie, Nettie. It's cute.
Oh, thanks. It's got teeth. It's awesome.
I see it. It's got teeth.
My name is Dutch, and this is my family.
Oh boy.
Want to get some Totoro ones for myself and Shaylee, and that's my daughter.
Yeah.
And the other one's going to get a bat, big black bat onesie.
Oh, nice.
That.
Yeah.
I had
Bat
a-
wings.
Controversial.
Yeah. That's a bit controversial.
It just fits right in this house.
Right.
Yeah.
Stella asked a question. She said, how does it work voting for a candidate that already dropped out? He suspended his campaign. He still can actually get delegates.
Yeah.
And
it's
there's
just like how in
still a
Australia.
movement.
It's just like how in Australia, you will occasionally have a candidate that is disendorsed by their party, but they're still on the ballot.
Yeah.
And they can still win. In fact, Pauline Hanson is an example of that. When she first, 20,
Yes.
back in the 90s,
Yeah.
when she was disendorsed by the Liberal Party, but then she continued campaigning, and because she was still on the ballot as a Liberal Party candidate, the combination of people thinking that she was a Liberal, in combination with the fact that people were voting for her,
They actually liked your racist attitude, yes.
Yeah.
So a combination of confusion and actually liking the racism got her in.
Wow.
Well, I remember the Rise Up Australia party with Danny
That's just back 20
Nalia.
years later.
Oh, that was pretty short-lived, yeah.
Yeah, I met that guy. He's not nice.
No.
Where did you meet the Donald? Well-gifted Aspie.
At a wedding.
Really?
Hey,
How bizarre.
he's working someone else's?
Wow.
Someone else's, not mine.
Not yours?
I
Not
don't think I would
yours.
ever invite him to mine.
Computer's getting hot. Ugh.
Oh, Mega Leech. Yeah, for some reason, my webcam does not show green very well. It shows all the other colors quite well. But
Whose
just like,
YouTube is on?
like this has got lots
Not
of
mine.
things that look yellow are actually bright green. It's very weird. But I've taken pictures of my clarified milk punch work in progress, and I'm going to post the comparison on Instagram.
That's cool. I'm not on Instagram. I don't have time for all of these damn social platforms. I deleted mine because I never had time for it.
Yeah,
What is
who's
Instagram?
repeating?
Isn't Instagram just for pictures?
Yes.
Okay, who's got the echo going?
Justin, is yours playing up again? Or
Not mine.
Can you hear me?
is
or
it
am I
yours,
echoing?
Lee?
Just
No,
turn. Just
I've got
click off.
headphones.
Whoever has YouTube on, click it off completely.
I can work it out by process of elimination. Not Lee. Is it? Sorry, it's you, Justin. Something's gone funny at your end, Justin.
All right, let me have a look.
Hey, I'll be right back.
Now it's stopped. Oh no,
Nature is calling. I will be right back.
That's okay, Sandy. Excuse yourself temporarily. Yeah. So hopefully Justin managed to fix it before, so hopefully you fix it again. So yeah, I'm fascinated with this whole milk punch thing because this is how dark it was, and now it's gone a really light yellow green. No, it's still doing it at your end, Justin.
Justin.
Wait a sec. Oh no, he's muted it at his end. Okay. Like Starford's question, Lee, was the Donald groping women at the wedding that you were at? As he was...
I honestly don't want to know if he was or not.
No, it's such an unpleasant thought. Donald Trump going, you just grab him by the pussy.
He was in my face too much.
Yeah.
And I honestly said to him, you keep getting in my face, I'm going to have to punch yours. Back then, I was a bit more aggressive.
That's a fairly aggressive thing to say, but I'm on board with it, Lee, honestly.
Well, he was just one of those kind of people that just really said things like, oh, you got autism. Oh, that must really suck for you, huh?
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Not a great guy. Not a great guy. Oh, well, it makes for an interesting story anyway. So, welcome back, Sandy.
Well,
Yeah.
Is that a coffee or a tea or?
This is coffee, but there's a whole story behind that. Antioxidant, low caffeine, low acid.
Okay, special blend.
Well, I have a story about it. My husband used to bitch constantly when he drank the shitty coffee. You know, I listened to this for 100 years. So finally, I looked it up, and I found this coffee that internal doctors suggest. And I took the coffee and I started buying it and I put it in the same container as his crappy ass Folgers. He never knew. He just stopped bitching about having a stomachache. And finally he found out. But finally he found out because he saw me doing it. You know, I'm like,
you're stuck in the good coffee.
Angry?
That's good.
It's good shit, man.
There is one person I've met.
Coffee
very
shouldn't give you a
famous and live on
tummy
the
ache.
street.
Sorry.
Right, I'm gonna switch devices because I'll need to plug in my
Justin, you switch
headphones.
devices.
Yeah, no worries,
And
Justin.
this doesn't have this is a new phone without a headphone jack. So
Okay.
I'll need to get so I'll need to switch over to my iPad. So I'll be back soon.
All right, cool.
So you're all at night there. I'm the
I'm
only one that
9:30 at night.
just
9:30 at night.
rolled. Okay. This is cool.
It's the Angry Bunch cocktail hour here.
And a coffee hour for me. I could go get my vape pen and smoke medical cannabis.
Yeah.
I heard enough.
Yeah.
I had to go get my back brace actually because sitting for a long time hurts me. And I've had 3 back surgeries and a neck surgery. And my whole spine is prematurely, I'm too young, but I'm screwed. Although I am old, actually. I'm very old. I'm older than all of you, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, old.
Don't let this boyish charm fool you.
Well, I'm getting the gray hair from not being able to go to the hairdresser, and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe I'll just let it grow out, see what it looks like. It's a hell of a lot cheaper.
Justin's joining us again.
Oh, look at
I've got ISO hair too.
you get great hair. You get a great color.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole tube left from the last time I used it. So I've got a big patch of like grey regrowth at the back.
Starting a new trend, Daddy.
So if you just do the front bit, then you can wear hoodies and still be okay.
It's so cute.
You see how much grazing.
There we go.
All right, Justin. Justin's already with the headset and the whole 9 yards. He looks so professional. I have a headset too, but I just decided to use the cheap ass ones today.
It was probably just the echoing
Yeah.
of the sound of the phone, like the sound coming out of the phone and the microphone picking it up and
Yeah.
it recycling. So this way should prevent that from happening.
I love the accent, but I'm going to. Do I do it?
I'm gonna get a drink.
Australian? Do I sound British or Australian?
I
That's a bit
always
hard.
get this thing, because I'm a dual Australian US citizen. I always get this thing where in Australia I sound like an American, but when I go to the US I sound like an Australian.
You sound like you have a half and
Gotta
half.
love that.
Yeah.
I like it. It's kind of half and half sounding.
Yeah.
My daughter sounds American because she learned to speak from Dora the Explorer.
Oh, yeah.
It's an
Our
Aspie thing.
generation, a lot of them have a slight American accent because of the media they consume. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
a whole
also-
other problem.
But also, instead of learning to speak from her parents as much as other kids do, she learned a lot of it from TV because it's predictable.
Yeah.
And it's easier for the way that autistic minds work when they're little.
Right?
Yeah, so that's what she says, American or Irish sometimes.
My little one is 31. She's not so little.
Oh, yeah. My oldest is 22, so.
I got you beat, baby.
You
My
got
oldest is 8 years old.
And I didn't have her when I was 9 either.
Oh my god! I found like one of my earliest YouTube friends, a guy who's quite well known, Corey, Mr. Safety. Anyway, I hang out with him, and he was younger than me, but not by a ridiculous amount. Then I met his mum, and his mum's only like 1 or 2 years older than me. She actually was a teenage mum, and so Corey, he was like 30 when I met him, and and then I meet his mum, and she's only like 1 or 2 years older than me. And it's like, oh, okay, that's just messed with me a bit.
Messed with your head, huh?
Yeah, I've been friends with him, but from an age perspective, it would make more sense to be friends with his mum. It was just a little bit weird.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm off to get.
Well,
I'm off
my
to get a
mum
drink.
actually watched your
Go get your
videos before.
drinky. Go get your drinky. We could look at your pillow.
Yeah. I mean, there are some people I've met that kind of like, oh, whoa, I could say the wrong thing and end up dead.
Like where?
That sounds like that's a worrying way to
Biker club. I rode a Harley for 34 years and I've ridden with all these kind of people. They're kind of like, I have a real dichotomy. I was a biker chick, had my own Harley and everything. I still do. But I also was a director of human resources, and I have a master's degree, and I worked in the university for 20 years. So a lot of us are, right? Different,
absolutely.
We're made up of all kinds of different things. You can be anybody you want.
Yeah,
what did you lose back there?
I went to a friend's wedding a few years ago. It was like a YouTube friend, so I didn't really know any of his family or anyone he grew up with. And it turns out he had biker friends, and we have, because when the politicians and cops decided bikers were a bad thing in Australia, they introduced what they called anti-association laws. The bikers weren't allowed to hang out with each other. There was this feeling that there'd be some sort of criminal collusion between them.
Probably would have been.
And so they weren't meant to hang out. So there were these guys at the wedding, and they were nice enough guys with the big beards and stuff, and they were just throwing jokes around like, well, I'm not meant to be in the same room as you. And they were technically, well, not even technically, they were quite seriously breaking the law by going to this wedding. And there was a whole thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm at a bikie wedding. I didn't even realize that was going to happen.
Not quite that bad. Well, I don't know. I've been out of it for a while. I can't ride. My back is fucked up. Well, I could ride if it wasn't my neck that's so screwed up. My back I rode for a long time. Probably that's why I messed up my back.
Yeah, riding can do that, I think.
Yeah, I've been all over the United States.
So, that's right. Stephen's saying he's got a 25% Russian accent because
Justin, you okay there?
Yep.
I hear you heavily
your
breathing.
microphone's just
I
picking
just
up
think
all your breathing as you walk along.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're in pain.
I don't know. Can
No,
you
I just went to the kitchen to get a drink.
That's the woods. That's what heats my house.
Nice wood fire.
Yeah, my husband did a lot of work. He put
nice.
those floors in, and
We got the central heating with the vents in the floor, which my cats just love. When it gets to the time of the year when the vents come on,
love that.
they just lie on the vents, going, "This is the best thing ever." It's really quite decadent to see the way they pretty much hug the vents, and they're in love with the hot air.
My cats like to sleep under the stove, but we have that forced air also. We just don't use it because it's propane and they have to truck it in, and I hate it. Hey, you guys ever heard of the Amish?
Oh yes, yeah.
My community is very
Yeah.
Amish. Wait, let me see. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
Amish. That's the biggest traffic jam I might hit is an Amish horse and buggy.
Ah.
It's very we're very, very. That's the town. It's very provincial, very Republican-y, but who cares?
Oh no.
Oh yes, I'm like the big nutty progressive around here. I don't care. Let them bother me. Nobody's gonna bother me.
The town I vote in the U.S. is basically like it's in Illinois, which is a Democratic state, but the town that I actually vote in is like so devoid of Republicans, so devoid of Democrats that like you'll just see you'll look at the ballot and like for some positions there are just no Democrats running.
Soft ass. Do you have toilets inside or outside the house in New York State?
Oh no.
Do we have plumbing? Hey, we have an outhouse on the property, but no, honey.
Yeah.
We have
I actually
a beautiful two full bathrooms.
I grew up with an outside toilet, and we upgraded our bathroom when I was about 10 years old, so we had an indoor toilet. But it was connected to the plumbing, but it was outside. So I actually grew up with an outside toilet.
Cool.
Yeah. It's just a.
Well, the Amish, I think they have outhouses. They don't. I don't believe they're big houses. Well, some of them might have indoor plumbing, but they're very basic. I mean, they know how to live. They'll live through the goddamn apocalypse. I won't. They
yeah. They do any of them have like the hole in the ground ones?
I don't know. I know that. No, I don't know that.
Oh, because not in
over the hole like in China.
No, the properties, like, because I was in a country town and there were farms all around it. On a lot of the farms and a lot of the properties, because they would dig like an enormous hole and build a toilet over it, and you were just into
like
this
a latrine.
hole.
Like
and when it was too much and too smelly or too full, they just seal it and build another one in another part of the farm. Not
bringing up the Amish reminds me of Weird Al song. It's like pulling up a buggy, raise a bun on Monday, soon I'll raise another. Think you're really righteous, think you're pure in heart. Well, I know I'm a million times as humble as thou art.
That's a good one. That you remembered it. That's cool. You are well gifted.
Weird Al is so. I memorize a lot of the Beatles and Paul McCartney as well. I mean, Paul McCartney is the world's richest rock star.
Is he the world's
of
richest?
all time? Of all time.
Yep.
Wow.
You'd think Andrew Lloyd Webber, but no.
Stella says most houses in Ballarat still have outhouses. Usually the back porch gets built in to include an indoor toilet. Oh, okay, that's cool. Now in New York, we're living
in a house like that in Yarraville.
Yeah. Oh, there's a great thing. A lot of the Melbourne suburbs, the old suburbs, have this really narrow laneway at the back of houses. like there's houses here, and the big street goes around the block, but there's this really narrow laneway behind the houses. That was for when all the houses
Yes,
had
Catherine.
outside
Paradise.
toilets, and they weren't septic. It was just like a big drum that you were basically dumping into, and then it would get picked up at night by the guys known as the night soil men.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Otherwise known as a dunny man, as I learned in Ginger
Oh
Mix.
no!
Okay, you drag your refuse out, and this truck was coming along, and these guys were just lifting it up and chucking in. So you can imagine how bad it smelled, how bad they smelled. That was a job until the 1950s, picking up from houses that didn't have septic plumbing for the toilets.
Apparently, houses like that still exist.
Yeah,
in some places, yeah.
Yeah. But you go in the old suburbs where you see these weird little lanes behind the houses, that was specifically for the night soil men to come and pick up your refuse.
I never heard of it. That's really cool. Not cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Ginger Meg's Angry?
The one where Gary McDonald played his dad.
I think so.
Played his dad. Yeah, long time ago.
And there's the dunny man who came down the back.
Yeah.
And it was and some kids end up like head first in the dunny man's
load.
Of
course they do. Yeah. there was a really good Australian crime film with Brian Brown. Well, he's actually in a few good Australian crime films. And there's one called Dirty Deeds, and it's set in somewhere between the 30s and the 50s. And it's some American mafia gangsters come to Australia to try and, can they form some sort of collective with the Australian gangsters? And Brian Brown's like the boss gangster. And there's a chase scene through this suburb, and there's one where they actually go down the back laneway, and the night soilmen are coming, and one of the cars just hits as the guy's like lobbing the big thing of shit. And so, their car just gets covered in shit. Very funny. Very
I'm sorry. And I just learned something new today. A dunny. I'm going to have to start calling it a dunny and see what people think.
That's with the dunny. Yeah.
The dunny. The dunny. The loo. I know the loo. That's
the loo.
The loo.
I call it the loo.
And David says the house I lived in when I was a kid had a septic tank. Yeah, that's what we have, septic and well. So we don't have anything hooked up to the road.
I have a shared water pipe with my neighbor.
You have to share a water pipe with your neighbor. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, if I have to shut off my water to do repairs, I have to talk to my neighbor about it because I have to shut off theirs.
Where does the water come from?
It comes through their property up into mine. So if I need to turn off, if I have to turn off the water so that I can get something repaired, I have to talk to them. I have to talk to them about it, and same thing with them because we're both using the same pipe, the same water main. So it's like,
On that note, I've got to go.
All right.
I better get studying. Love yous all. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Oh, what are you studying? What are you studying?
Foundation Studies, which is a bridging course into business.
Okay.
Bachelor.
Well, good luck.
Okay, cool.
I'm an academic, so I love it.
Oh,
good for you.
Yeah,
What's your discipline? What's your discipline, Sandy?
Oh, I was. I have an undergrad in psychology and I have a master's in human resources. And I was the director of human resources at a university in Buffalo for 20 years. But we were research. And so I did a lot of research, work with professors. I did a live stream on it last night on my channel, actually, all about research, because when you read about what's going on with COVID and then you read comment sections in some of these really crazy YouTube videos, people are insane. They don't know how research works, first of all. Nobody gives anybody a big chunk of money to give to a lab in Wuhan. It doesn't work like that. So I did my stream last night to educate people because, well, that's all I do is try to educate people. But It's crazy. So that's what I did, but I had to retire because of my back. So like sitting is hard, but that's why I went and got my back brace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm an old lady.
Yeah, I've got a Bachelor of Social Science Policy and Research,
Ooh.
which was actually I was part of the second last intake before they closed the course down, and then after I did that, I went to the University of Melbourne and did a Masters of Public Policy and Management, and
Oh.
now I work in government.
Okay, that's cool though.
Cool.
We need good people in governments, not jerks like we have in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
Good
you
for you,
state or
Justin.
government, Justin?
I'm state government, so I'm ACT government.
Okay.
Trying to get into federal government though. Trying to get yeah. I think at the end of the day, I think the reason why Australia's response to COVID has been so much better is not just it's got nothing. It doesn't have much to do with our leaders. It's got to do with the public service and the bureaucrats underneath that
Yeah.
actually serve the government.
Local.
That
That's
you know,
local. Yeah. That's good.
yeah, that it's because Scott Morrison, he's still an idiot, but at least he's listening to the public service, and he's doing the bidding of the public service, which is what you'd want him to be doing right now.
Yeah. I think to his credit, people often say I'll never say anything good about Morrison, and I usually won't, but he learned from how badly he handled the bushfires because he completely screwed up the bushfires and he ignored the advice of the experts. And he seemed really surprised when it blew up in his face and everyone hated him. And you'll notice from the very start of the coronavirus outbreak, he's taken reasonably decisive action and he's acted on what the health experts told him to do. So he learned, when a major incident happened, act sooner rather than later and listen to the people who are experts. So he did learn. I feel like he did learn. He's still an idiot, but he learned that he should let other people dictate policy.
How is the country doing? I mean, the fire season's going to come again.
Yes.
And climate change isn't stopping. Our channel was primarily, climate change and science oriented. And I was going to I wanted to do a follow-up on it. So can one of you fill us in on, let's say, the ecological fallout with the animals, maybe?
Yeah, well, the fear was, and we'll never know for sure, but there was a concern that the fires were so widespread and destroyed so much habitat, they could have killed up to 1 billion animals.
Making me want to cry right now.
Oh, it's horrific. Now, see, what's happening, all the predictions for this winter, this will be one of the wettest winters we've had in decades, which, the pluses to that, a lot of areas are affected by drought. If the rain falls where the dams are and people's water supply is bolstered, that's good. So there's obviously a lot of pluses to a lot of rain. The downside is if that rain stops in summer, as it usually does, there would have been all this extra growth through winter from the rain, and then that dries out.
Oh, God.
We've got just this enormous fuel supply for the bushfires in the summer.
Reinforcing feedback loop, really.
Yeah. So we could have as bad as we had last summer. It's impossible to tell.
I had a friend in Canberra that had to leave.
Yeah.
That's where that's actually where I live, in Canberra.
Yeah.
Do you know Henry Holt?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway.
But but I think it takes a few cycles for it to get, because I think that the buildup of the fuel is from a number of is actually from a number of years. So I think that it's going to take it. We've had a bad bushfire season this we had a bad bushfire season last year. This year it probably won't be as bad. It'll take a number of years, probably about 5-6 years or so, before we have another episode like this. But in saying that, we're still going to have something similar to the Black Saturday bushfires and stuff like that. I mean, I guess the one silver lining is in the areas that had the bushfires last year, those areas probably won't have those areas will probably won't see major bushfires again for a while, just because they've already had a bushfire and things have just been burnt out. So
Yeah.
We were devastated. I mean, a lot. I live in an area that nothing really happens, but yet, I had a tornado here. No, to be fair, I had a tornado here, which actually smashed up a lot of shit in 2017. And, but it's not like what happened there. Even in California, it's just, but it's a scary world. That's why I talk about climate change. And I studied climate change after I retired so that I could have something to do, because I was feeling like I was, depressed, wasting my brain. Wasting what little brain cells I have left.
Yeah, it's good to do something like that. That was a really good choice.
That's why we started this.
I'm going to go, guys. It's 10 o'clock. So
yes, it's 10 o'clock.
have the kids to sleep.
Yeah, gotta put me to sleep. Got to go to work tomorrow.
Well, Nettie, leave us with some words of wisdom from you.
You're
on the spot.
on the spot now, Annette. Jeez.
Come on, you can do it.
I better. This too shall pass. That will do.
I like that.
I like that. That's one of my favorite sayings. Yes.
And hopefully we'll all be alive next week.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully,
I'm kind of morose. I talk about, I could be dead next week. It doesn't matter. I told everybody I was redoing my wherever the hell it is, my last will and testament, and big deal. My kid's gonna get every fucking thing anyway, because my husband will probably drop dead before I do.
Well, nice to meet you, Sandy.
Oh gosh, okay.
Good night.
Sandy. Thanks, Annette. Thanks,
Bye,
Justin.
Nettie.
Thanks everyone in the chat.
She's a doll. I'm glad I did this morning. This was
I'm really glad you came in. It's been
fun. Yeah.
Going to bed
See
now.
ya.
Bye, everyone.